Welcome to the Wealth Defenders with Terry Cox. He's got nearly 20 years of money management experience, and he wants to make that work for you so you can get your money right. Broadcasting from Phoenix, coast to coast, also globally, consumer advocate Bruce Rosenblum here with you as well. Terry, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you, Bruce. How you been?
Doing fine. Still getting those morning workouts in. I know we talk about this a lot. You know, Terry likes to get it in the morning, and so do I. It just sets the tone for the entire day, right?
Absolutely. If you get out of bed, get that first cup of coffee in you, get a workout in, you're good to go.
Absolutely. We want to set the tone for your money as well, because it's important to get your money right and get on the right foot with that. That's why today we're talking about a subject near and dear to almost everybody's heart in the money management realm, 401ks. Yes. Very important. There's a lot to say about 401ks, right, Terry?
Absolutely. A great savings tool. But you know what? People change jobs during their careers, and sometimes they do it more than once. And it's not uncommon for people to change jobs and forget about their old 401k, and they just leave it where it was at.
Right. Yeah. And I've actually been guilty of this myself. So I'm glad you mentioned this. Yeah. It happened to me. So if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, I tell you. And that's why it's important to have a guy like Terry in your corner who can kind of guide you on this stuff. But today we're talking about more of a specific scenario here. We've got transferring orphaned 401k accounts into fixed indexed annuities. Now, this is kind of nitty gritty, right, Terry?
Yes. Yeah, it can be nitty gritty for sure. So sometimes if you're at the new job, you're saving in your 401k, maybe you're getting a match of some kind, but then you have this old plan that you forgot about.
Okay.
We can actually roll that in so the rollover from a 401k, it lands into a traditional IRA plan. But from there, we can plug those dollars into a fixed income annuity and create a personal pension for the clients.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe it was the last episode that we were talking about income annuities a little bit, and we were talking about the bonuses that some of these insurance companies will pay. So if you can take an old 401k that was just sitting there, roll it in to one of these fixed contracts, get a bonus up front, every year that you're deferring income, the insurance company will pay you a guaranteed amount, which builds up your income level. So when clients come in and they're wanting to know what that would look like, we can generate what we call an illustration. It will show them the amount of money that was in their 401k plan. They roll it in, and if they get a bonus, and let's say they're going to retire in 5 years, so they don't need money right now, if they defer out 5 years, what their income level will be. And sometimes that bonus and those roll-ups every year is enough to bridge the gap if they have an income gap once they get into retirement. So great plans to consider, great plans to talk about for sure.
I like this, especially about filling the gaps, because a lot of times we do have gaps in our retirement plans, and knowing there's a way to fill those gaps just in case. You want that get out of jail free card so that you're stable and set and you got that peace of mind down the road. So with that in mind, can you tell us some key advantages to doing this type of move right here?
Well, number one, if you've got most of your investments, say in the market, the stock market, through your 401k plan, probably in mutual funds, it's kind of nice to have an asset that's not plugged directly into the stock market, because we can see our share prices and the values of our 401k plans go up and down. You're going to have a static number in the fixed income arena. So sometimes it's nice to see that bonus, and then your balance doesn't drop. And then every year that you're deferring income, you see your balance step up. Okay. So these contracts are not going to go down in value. They're going to go up in value regardless of what the market does. And that creates a personal pension for you, because once you turn that income stream on, they're going to pay you until the day you leave the planet. So it's a nice income stream, and it pairs well with Social Security, and then you still got the rest of your assets in your 401k plan.
I like this. I like being able to sit down with somebody who knows a thing or two about money, and they can tell me, hey, you do this, you're going to see the green arrows going up. That's what I like to see.
Absolutely.
And it seems like with this, you get that.
Yeah, for sure. Because speaking of that, when you sit down with somebody and you're talking about your portfolio, there's different scenarios that play out. And we all talk about, getting a diversified portfolio. You want some dividend paying stocks, you want some growth stocks, you want some bonds. But all of those are going to be a little bit volatile to some degree.
Sure.
Some are not that volatile, some are very volatile. But if you can take a portion of your investments and plug it into something that it doesn't matter what the market does,
right?
Number one, that's just a great feeling for peace of mind, knowing that you've got steady income for the rest of your life, and then you still got this portfolio sitting over here that can grow over time with the market. It's a great pairing.
Ooh, I like that. And with this, I suppose you've also got the potential for higher returns.
Yeah, you can, because you're going to be plugged into an index. So there's only one date on the calendar that matters on your fixed income annuity, and that's what we refer to as your anniversary date, the date you started the contract. So let's say you started on January 1st.
Okay.
Every January 1st, you're going to take a look at your statement and you're going to see your balance go up. And depending on how the market does, you're going to be able to participate in that upside, but you're not going to participate to the downside, which is a great feature.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All upside, no downside.
And we can't say that very often in this business.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It seems like a no-brainer. I mean, that's what everybody wants to hear when they're investing. Hey, this is all upside. It almost sounds too good to be true.
Right. And you know what? Annuities over the years have got bad raps, and probably rightly so. When they used to lock your money up for 15 or 20 years and you couldn't get to it, that was not a good scenario.
Okay.
This is an income rider that's attached to your dollars that will pay you for, as long as you're on the planet.
Ooh,
and it's good. It's good deferred taxes on your growth. You're not going to be paying taxes on your growth until you actually start taking money out.
Tell me a bit more about this tax deferred growth strategy here, because it's like I said, I like the sound of this. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet, but I like the sound of it.
Right. Well, it's much like a traditional IRA. Your money is growing tax deferred, and then so at the end of the year, you're not going to get taxed on any of your growth.
Okay.
The flip side of that is you're not going to be, if you take a loss, you're not going to be able to write off your loss. But your gains aren't taxable, and they're not going to be taxable until the day comes that you actually take money out of the account or out of the contract.
Okay. So the taxes, they come later then, kind of like an IRA.
Yeah, with the whole premise that you're feeding this now while you're working and you're in a higher tax bracket. When you step into retirement, you're going to be hopefully in a lower tax bracket. So you kind of get the best of all worlds in that scenario. And another thing that these annuities do, I plug these into our tool. You've heard me talk about the asset map on the program before. When we're talking about the income needs for our clients, and we just did this about a month ago with some clients, they were doing some retirement planning. Thought they had a number in mind of when they were going to retire.
Sure.
But when we plugged in the fixed income annuity, showed them the bonus, showed them what their income level would be, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years, whatever the number was, they suddenly had enough income coming in that they shaved a couple years off their retirement target. So they're going to retire 2 years early than they were planning. So that's a great scenario.
I would say so. To know that you're ahead of the game and to be able to clock out early. Yes, that sounds great.
For sure.
Big fan of that.
For sure.
And I guess that also, that speaks to the lifetime income option. That seems like another advantage for this. It gives you more options to generate that lifetime income, which is what you need, right?
Absolutely. Because sometimes, we talk about sequence of returns. Let's say you don't have a fixed income annuity in your portfolio.
Right.
And you step into retirement. And what happens if we're having a bad year? What if we're going through the financial crisis again, or we're going through the virus again, or whatever, and the markets take a hit?
Yeah.
Well, you're taking money. So here's how that all works is because you actually have equity. So you actually own something. And when you're looking at your mutual funds or your stocks or your exchange traded funds, they have a share price attached to them.
Yeah.
So you have a number of shares that you've purchased over the years.
Right.
So if suddenly the price is down 10, 15, 20%, you have to sell 10, 15, 20% more shares to raise the same amount of money. So if that happens early, that has the potential to derail retirement. So so now that takes another element off of the table, that we don't have to worry about these sequence of returns. If we retire in a bad year, we just flick the income switch on the annuity, preserve the portfolio until the storm passes and the prices go back up.
Big fan of that.
Yeah, and now you're preserving the number of shares that you have in all of your investments across the board, and you're not selling low. That's the last thing you want to do.
Because, I mean, it's about getting peace of mind at the end of the day. And it seems like this is a great way to get that peace of mind.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Over the years, personal pensions have gone away. So this is a way to create.
Yeah.
This is the way to create one of your own. So if you've got, and this is what's great about the tools that we use, is because it's like a one-page spreadsheet. So we have the client in the middle of the page, and then we have these tiles around them that we list all of their assets. When we start doing that, it's remarkable how many times people will say, "Oh, you know what? Like 15 years ago when I changed jobs, I left my 401k over at ABC company."
Yeah.
Well, then that's a great asset that they've had their eyes off of for a long time. Let's transfer that into the account, and hey, we've got a place for it. And guess what? We can get a bonus on top of that for you right up front.
Love that. That is a feather in your cap for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to talk a bit about inflation, though, because as you know, it's getting outrageous. I cooked dinner for somebody recently. I'm thinking, oh man, I'll save some money. I'll cook at home. It'll be nice. I'll save. It won't be as much as going out, because going out, it's so expensive. I still ended up spending $50 for ingredients to make a meal for 2 people. So it's like the prices are outrageous. How can this particular option, this financial option, protect people from inflation?
Well, sometimes they come with riders attached to them that are called indexes. So they index for inflation. So if suddenly, prices are up year over year, say 4 or 5%, you can actually see the product pay you a 4 or 5% bonus to make sure today's dollars are going to buy the same amount of stuff, 3 or 4 years from now. So if you can get something that indexes for inflation, that's what you're looking for, because inflation's not going away. Yeah.
It's definitely not. God, it's getting pretty bad. So we'll see where it goes in 2025. But it seems like you want to be protected with this stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you spend a lifetime working and building this nest egg. You've got to be able to preserve it. You've got to be able to weather storms, whatever the market's throwing at us. You think about people who retired right before the financial crisis. I don't know if you remember that back in, was that 08, 09?
08, yes.
Yeah, 2008.
Very well.
Yes. So what happened? Let's rewind and say you retired in the summer of 2007.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, a year later, your portfolio, what's the old joke? My 401k became a 201k. So,
God, nightmare scenario for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a horrible scenario. I mean, obviously things are not always going to be that drastic or that bad, but still something could happen. And you plug one of these things in there, you've got your income protected, your index for inflation. It's a good piece of the puzzle.
I'm with you on that. It's a great piece of the puzzle. I know we're wrapping up here. Anything we should tell the people before we put a fork in this episode and call it done?
If you're listening to this episode and you're realizing that, hey, you know what? I've got an old 401k floating around out there, give us a call. We can walk you through the steps, how you hunt that down, how you find it, how you move it, and we can actually run an illustration for you to show you what your number would be if we were to consider plugging you into one of these indexed annuities.
Information on the screen for that. Make sure you give Terry a call. He's got your back with all things money. Also, subscribe to the podcast Wealth Defenders. New shows just about every week. We're talking about money here in a way that everybody can understand, and that is what's going to help you get your money right in 2025 and beyond. Terry, another great show.
Bruce, good to see you as always, and we'll catch you next time.
Sounds great. We'll see you on the next one right here on the Wealth Defenders. Take care.